Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's product management boot camp. Sorry, workshop. Putting my words together here in the first sentence. I hope everyone is doing well. Before we officially kick off the event here, first off, I always just like to make sure that everyone can see me okay. Everybody can hear me okay. Feel free to give me a yes in the chat there. Amazing, amazing, awesome. I'm going to kick off the event here in just a minute. Before I do, as well, I like to invite everyone to share in the chat where they are joining us from. So I am from Calgary, Alberta, Canada myself. Actually, I'm originally from Ontario. I grew up in Niagara Falls, but I've lived in Calgary and also BC for almost the last 15 years or so. Toronto. I'm going to be there next week. I'm actually going back to visit some family and friends next week. So I'm at Hamilton. I'm flying into Hamilton. Nice. Well, welcome everybody. I was expecting to see lots of folks from Ontario in here today. I will go ahead and get the presentation lined up here so we can kick off and start there. Before I do that, just while I can do this, I'm going to add the course link into the chat. So for anybody who's looking at the course that we're sharing information about today, that's the link there. You're welcome to click on it and go through and take a look. The other thing I should mention is that this full session today will be recorded. So if there's anything that you want to take note of, any stats, anything in my slides, you're welcome to take screenshots. You can write down information, but you're also welcome to just kind of sit back and relax, and you'll receive a full recording of the whole session in your email inbox after the event. So yeah, feel free to ingest it any way you like there. I am going to get the presentation queued up here. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get it kicked off. So by the end of the session today, you're going to have heard some information about the industry and about our university partnerships for myself. You're also going to have heard from our amazing guest speaker, who I'm going to share some details on in just a moment. And then I'll also share information on our pricing, our upcoming cohort information, all that kind of stuff. So, and at the very end of the session, we are going to do a Q&A with the guest speaker. So if anybody has any questions about the course or about the industry, you can put those questions into the questions tab throughout the presentation. And we're purposefully ignoring it only temporarily while we go through the actual presentation. But the purpose there is that we want to loop back and do a live Q&A with everyone at the end, so we can put the questions up and kind of answer them all together. So yeah, feel free to put those into the questions tab. And then there's also a polls tab, guys. The polls tab has, I think I put 2 polls in there to start with. Feel free to interact with those throughout the presentation as well, and just fill out the information as it applies to you. So, all right, without further ado, let's go ahead and actually kick off the presentation now. So I'll start off by introducing myself. So my name is Tyler Trapp. I am the Marketing Events Manager at CircuitStream. I've been with the company for just about 3 years. I always say this, I actually have no idea what my actual anniversary would be, but I think it is coming up here very soon. I think I started working for the company in June a few years back. So that's got to be coming up real soon here. And before that, I actually worked in travel and tourism for about 10 years. I worked in hotels and traveled a lot, went to lots of conferences. And yeah, I always say that was like my pre-COVID career. So that's a little bit about me. We will have a guest speaker joining us on stage in just a few minutes. Her name is Tracy Levine. She was a previous Niantic product innovation lead, and she's currently the CEO of Make It MVP. She's going to come on stage and share on her experience and provide tips and advice for new product managers. So, but before we get to that, I'm going to share a little bit of an overview of who CircuitStream is and some details about product management in Canada overall. So CircuitStream began in 2015 through a network of developers, designers, and creators, and we are now a leading provider of technology learning in different areas like AR, VR, game development and design, product management, and software development. We partner with industry-leading companies and leading educational institutions and offer courses and training to those who are looking to learn more about emerging technologies. So some of the, actually all the companies on the screen are some of our partners, but just a handful of our company partners, and those are our university partners on the right there. So why launch a career in product management? Product manager is an interdisciplinary position that collaborates with different departments to guarantee the success of a new product. Product managers have a dynamic career with opportunities to shape innovative products and have measurable impact on a company's success. On screen right now, you can see some of the top reasons why people would choose to work as product managers. And again, just I'm going to mention this a few times in case anyone pops in and out. This whole session will be recorded, so if anybody wants any of these details, you will get it afterwards. Excuse me. Acquiring product management skills in Canada positions individuals to excel in a variety of industries and contribute to economic growth. With a rapidly growing technology sector and a thriving startup ecosystem in cities like Toronto and Vancouver and Waterloo, product managers play a vital role in driving innovation and ensuring companies deliver products that meet market needs. According to LinkedIn, in Ontario alone, there are currently over 700 job postings for product manager positions. And at the bottom of that slide there, you can see some of the companies that are hiring for product managers. Very, very small scope of showing companies. There's literally hundreds of companies that would be hiring for product managers. These are just some top companies, I should say. So, there are many different titles that product managers are hired for, including, of course, product manager, but also product strategist, growth product managers, product marketers. So a few different positions you can look for after you go through a course, or if you're looking to transition into a role in product management. The average salary for product managers in Canada is currently at $109,000, according to Glassdoor, and that's information from last year, from 2023. And now a little bit more about the bootcamp. So our hands-on 21-week product management bootcamp is both online and project-based. It has 5 hours of live class per week, 2.5 hours of technical biweekly career labs, and 10 hours of independent study. There are weekly assignments, in-class challenges, portfolio projects, and students complete the course with a capstone project at the end. And they get to work on that at the end of the bootcamp there. The bootcamp is designed for those who are interested in learning the essential practices of product management, from strategic planning in feature development to agile execution. The program's comprehensive curriculum is designed to provide a full spectrum of understanding of the product life cycle, ensuring that you're adept at guiding products from their initial conception all the way to their market dominant stage. Product management is a great career opportunity with lots of growth potential. This is why we've collaborated with the University of Toronto School of Continuing Studies to offer this hands-on 21-week bootcamp that will take you from a beginner to launching a career in product. That's a little bit about our course. Now, in terms of the course outcomes, our bootcamp graduates emerge from the course with a comprehensive skill set that prepares them for success. Through in-depth modules like Product Management Foundations, students gain a solid understanding of the roles and responsibilities, how they navigate product development stages, and how they use data to inform strategic decisions. Graduates are also educated on market insights and product strategy, feature ideation and development, agile execution and team dynamics, product positioning and growth, and data mastery and decision making. So that's just a little overview of the course outcomes from this bootcamp. Students also receive career development support during the bootcamp, and they complete the bootcamp with a product management certification from CircuitStream and from the University of Toronto SCS. That's just what the certification would look like there. Now, speaking of career development, I would now like to invite CircuitStream Student Outcome Manager Wanai on stage to share some information on the career support offered through our bootcamp. So welcome, Wanai.
Thanks, Tyler. Our career labs teach students how to leverage technical and behavioral strengths, gain awareness of the digital ecosystem, create compelling portfolios, elevate digital presence, learn how to network effectively, and become interview ready for industry jobs. And our career and networking support really sets our programs apart from others that you may find. Every student has different objectives coming in, but those looking for new jobs or to improve their current positions find this aspect of the course incredibly helpful. As part of the career support, our bootcamps also come with a student pitch day, which happens towards the end of the program. Students have the opportunity to showcase their capstone projects to hiring and industry partners. This event is an amazing way to add people to your network, be considered for any job openings they may have, or to just receive feedback on your projects from hiring managers working in the industry. Now, here are some examples of our hiring partners for our product management bootcamp who may attend our upcoming product management pitch days. You can also expect to see some of these industry partners in our exclusive AMA sessions, which are also a great opportunity to network with potential employers. Thank you. Back to you, Tyler.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Wanai. So if anybody has any questions for Wanai or about our career support in the boot camps, feel free to throw it into the questions tab, or you can put it into the chat tab. I believe Wanai is going to be able to hang around for the remainder of the presentation, but even if she had a meeting that she had to run to, I can certainly take the questions from you guys and make sure that she gets back to you with some answers there. So thanks again, Wanai. Now, I would like to officially invite today's guest speaker on stage. Tracy is a product enthusiast. She previously worked as the product innovation lead at Niantic and is currently the CEO of Make It MVP, a community that fosters idea intersection and collaborating among skilled creators. I'm going to ask her some questions and so she can share on her experience and provide some tips and advice for new product managers. So welcome to the stage, Tracy.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And if it's okay, Tracy, I'm going to put your screen a little bigger here while I do the questions part there. Amazing. I always like to warn people before the screen starts changing sizes on us. So, all right. So I'll start off here with the first question that I have lined up for Tracy. Can you tell us a little bit about your career journey and what led you to initially becoming a product manager?
Yeah, so my career journey is actually very unique and interesting. I actually started out as a social worker, and I worked in social work, specifically in nonprofit management, for about 10 years. And when COVID hit, I was like, I need a change. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm burnt out. And in my last 2 social work jobs, I was the web manager. So because when you work in nonprofits, it's kind of what you do it all. And so I decided to go to a tech boot camp, and I went to a software engineering boot camp. And throughout the entire boot camp, I was like, I don't really want to be a software engineer. I kind of want to be a product manager. And so I was applying to jobs and doing all of that after my boot camp. And in one of the interviews, I didn't get the job, but they asked me for if I wanted feedback. And I actually said to them, I don't actually want feedback, but can I talk to your product managers in the company? And they were like, wait, what? You're interested in products? And I was like, yeah. And so I had a meeting with their product manager, and like 3 days later, they put me in the room with their CEO and offered me a product role. I didn't end up taking that role, but it was definitely an experience and a learning experience. If someone ever asks you if you want feedback on your interview, take it, because you never know what's going to happen. But instead, I ended up starting my own startup, Make It MVP. I worked on Make It MVP for a year-ish. And I don't know if you want me to go into the hackathon stuff yet or not, but I will, because I think it's part of my career journey. But then I competed in a massive hackathon in Miami, and my hackathon team ended up getting acquired by Niantic and hired. And that's how I really broke into product, because at Niantic, I was in product innovation, doing R&D work, research and development work on all things Web3 and AR for a year and a half. And then I've worked as product manager in another startup called Think of Us. And now I run Make It MVP full time, where we help new talent to get experience post boot camps like this. So that is my career journey.
Amazing. And that's actually how we connected initially, was through Niantic, because we work with Niantic sometimes on different projects, and we've done some scholarships with them before. So amazing. Thank you for sharing. All right, I'll jump into the next one here. So Tracy, what key skills or traits do you think are essential for a successful product manager in 2024? That's kind of a broad question, but
that is a very broad question. But I think that there's a few. One, you have to be able to understand stakeholders and communicate with stakeholders. And stakeholders can be both your development and your design team, but also all of the people in the company that are managing the product. And that can be anything from biz dev to trust and safety to, I'm just thinking of the people that I had to deal with at Niantic, to game producers, to finance. The product manager is really the liaison between all of the different departments and the actual product team, which is your designers, your developers, your QAs, all of those people. And so really being able to manage stakeholders, but also being able to tell them no when something is just not going to happen. Learning the word no was a big thing for me, because I just am a people pleaser and I wanted to please everyone all the time, and learning to be like, that's just not going to happen right now, is a big skill. I also think another big product skill that I would recommend having is some sort of technical knowledge. That doesn't mean that you can code, and that doesn't mean that you can design. But when a developer says to you, oh, the API is broken because of this request, right? You know what this request means, and you can then translate that over to a user story and what needs to be fixed. So understanding the technologies that you're working with. And I think an additional thing that I will say about product managers, and this is a big one that is huge for me, is you never stop learning. Product management is a field where you are going to need to learn on the go all the time. So you got to learn. And you got to be willing to learn new things, and you got to be willing to accept that you might not know at that moment.
Amazing, amazing. Very, very good advice. All right. So let me see what I've got here lined up for the next one. So Tracy, how do you see the current job market for product managers evolving, and what sort of career opportunities are there out there?
So it's funny because I look online and I see 7,000 roles available in product management, and then I see no one actually getting accepted to the roles, to be exact. But I think it's because the expectation of the market right now is that a product manager has 4 to 5 years experience. But the reality is that product management as a career is only about 10 years old. So the max that someone can actually have in this field, really, realistically speaking, is that 4 to 5 years, if we're talking like honestly. And I think it's when companies work around that and look beyond that to your skills, and you can show them how previous work experience can attach to that and things like that. Those are the ways to get hired. The market is rough. I can't beat around the bush. I can't lie and say that it's not rough. It's rough. But I think that the PM role is the glue that keeps the team together. And so it's going to be a necessity in order for any company to scale. And even though a lot of people say that AI can take over the PM role, there's a certain stakeholder management that comes with PMs that AI just cannot take over. So that's my thought on the job market right now.
Totally. Well, and just as a follow-up to that, do you have any other tips? And I mean, it might come up in our questions here in general, but do you have any other tips for how people might be able to stand out or to get more opportunities, considering most people won't have, 5+ years experience?
Yeah.
And with that, is there anything like that leans into a fast-paced boot camp that would help them kind of, move a bit quicker in that direction?
So this is the advice I give everyone that asks me always, which is find some startups that need some free or cheap labor or are willing to give you equity and get hands-on experience right away. There are in every community in North America, there is some sort of startup accelerator program. Go to that accelerator director and say, hey, I'm a PM and I want to help with this, this, and this. Do you have any startups that need help? And put yourself out there. Networking is key for anything that you're going to do in tech, whether you're a software engineer, whether you're a PM, whether you're a designer. Getting yourself out there, being out there, being part of the tech community, showing up at events. You're going to meet a founder, you're going to meet someone with an idea and be like, hey, I can scope that idea for you after I've done this boot camp at CircuitStream, right? Or after I've done, 1.5 million different things, right? I can help you scope this because this is my expertise. You have to be out there. And I'm going to give another honesty point here because I think that these things are important. I am an introvert. People don't think I am because I can public speak and I am really good at connecting people and networking. But I'm an introvert. And every time I spend like a week at a conference or a week at events, right? We had Miami Tech Month a month ago. And then we had Miami Tech Week, which was like 50 events a day. I come home and I just like collapse and I don't want to see a soul for 2 weeks straight. I actually went to therapy to get over my social anxiety of being in a networking room. And it's okay to admit that like you have that anxiety to go into that room. It's okay to be scared of these moments, but recognize that these are the moments that are going to help you and increase your career growth. So find ways to work through those challenges. For me, at first it was making sure I had one friend in the room. It didn't mean that I went with the friend or whatever. It meant that I knew one person going to the event. So if I needed to not be the wallflower and walk over to someone and be comfortable, I had that one friend in the room. And you will gain more and more. And you'll see, like, for me, that worked because I had that one friend, and then I had 5 friends, and then I had 10 friends. And now I pretty much walk into a tech room in Miami and I know 65% of the room. And so for me, that's what really got me over the anxiety. I'm about to be in LA next week for the Canva conference. I was going to go by myself. I ended up saying to one of my staff members at Make an MVP, hey, do you want to go with me? Why? Because I don't really want to go by myself. I'm not going to know a soul in the room. And so she's coming with me. I'm then going to New York Tech Week. One of my best friends from Miami Tech and I are going together and tag teaming the Tech Week. So having that like partner in your journey is super, super, super helpful. Also, Monique, I see your comment. You would have gone with me. If you're in LA next week, the Canva conference is only $95, so you should go. And Bob Iger's speaking, so come join me and say hi. But yeah, that's my advice.
It's amazing advice. I mean, as a company, CircuitStream, we partner with universities and we offer courses in different areas, like obviously product management, but also software development and game development and game design. And the messaging I'm hearing from professionals in all of these different fields is that it's rough out there. It's always rough. I think it's just kind of the nature of where we are in 2024. The job markets across all industries are very competitive. There's lots of people looking for work. But I think what you said is kind of a key point. Like how can you make yourself stand out? And networking is one of the strongest things that you can do in any environment, because it's going to connect you to people who are going to give you opportunities, or it's going to connect you to people who are going to remember you and then provide opportunities probably down the line at some point for you. So I just wanted to add that little extra note in that I couldn't agree with you more.
I will just add also that the story of how we got connected to Niantic is fully based on me getting over my social anxiety and being part of tech communities. Because what happened was it was during Miami Tech Week, and there was a group chat, Women in Web3. I was not in the chat, the Telegram channel, just to clarify. I was not in this channel, but someone posted in the channel, founders of Niantic are looking for a female founder creating a crypto game or into crypto gaming. Okay. And 3 of my friends tagged me in it. I wasn't even in the channel yet. And that's how we got connected to Niantic. It was solely based on 3 friends knew I was building a crypto game in this hackathon, said, hey, my name on Telegram was Shrimp Girl. So they said, hey, Shrimp Girl is creating a crypto scavenger hunt right now, kind of Pokemon Go style. And that was how we got our connection. It was solely based on me having the right connections.
100%. Yeah. And I mean, even within Circuit Stream, we have our community here that we build. We have an active Discord server with all of our current students, our past students. So it's like the same goal. We're just trying to build a network of people who have a similar education, who can support each other, who can work together, who can provide opportunities. So yeah, I'm not at all surprised that that's how you got that opportunity, Tracy. It's very, very common. So, all right. So I went off script there for one of the questions. Let me go back to where we were.
No worries.
In your experience, I think I asked the next question, but I didn't even realize it lined up with the next question. I was going to say, in your experience, how can aspiring product managers stand out in today's market? We kind of just talked about a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
I think there's one more thing. So I had a product manager who was in the Make It MVP Launch Academy program. She was in our first cohort in October. And then she became like our lead PM at Make It MVP and all of these things. But one thing is that she does very, very strongly, and I'm going to give her this shout out because I think she does it really, really well, is she posts on LinkedIn a lot about product and product strategy. To the point where maybe she didn't have the most experience in product, but she became one of the product voices on LinkedIn, and is one of the top product voices on LinkedIn because she posts so often. So I know everyone hates social media or loves social media. It's a love-hate relationship. I don't know. But LinkedIn is your job social media. And LinkedIn is an integral part of your experience. I think it was like a few months ago, I'm going to give this example actually. The Disney app for my Disney parks experiences is terrible, especially for Florida residents. Okay. And to the extent that I went to go buy my tickets and I couldn't buy my tickets, and then I had to call them, and then I was on the phone with them for an hour and a half, and they're like, no, you have to come in person. And they couldn't do anything about it because their website was broken and couldn't actually do anything. So I decided, as a technical person, to inspect the website and see what I could figure out, and then do an evaluation of their app. And I posted it on social media, and I posted it all over LinkedIn. And people were like, this is so insightful. Like, when you use a product, write a review of it. Look at the things that work and the things that don't work and give suggestions on how it could be better. But use LinkedIn as your way to be seen. Make It MVP's growth. We grew from 150 members in our community to 700 something members over the last 6 months, solely organically through my LinkedIn posts and word of mouth from other members of our community. We have not done any paid advertisements. We have not done any active recruiting. So use LinkedIn to your benefit.
Absolutely.
I would say Twitter also, but I feel like Twitter less.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a huge Twitter, or X, I guess is what it is now, but I'm not a huge X user. But LinkedIn has definitely supported me in my career all the way through. And I hear that consistently from people. And I mean, even when I'm looking for people to engage in sessions, if it's not through a warm connection, I'm often on LinkedIn looking for engaged profiles, people who are working actively in the industry, who are posting, who are sharing, who are collaborating with people. Very quiet LinkedIn profiles don't normally stand out to me as people that I'd normally reach out to. So it's definitely important. And then Quinn, I see a question in the side there. Can anybody just go to these tech events? It kind of depends on the nature of it. I mean, there's huge conferences that definitely come with a price point and sometimes some travel. But then there's often a ton of online things that you can do. There's online networking events. There's often things depending on where you're located. I'm sure there's some things in whichever large city is closest to you. If you're in one yourself, there's probably something there. Even through our community at Circuit Stream, when students register for our courses, they're brought into our network as well, and then they're in that network for life, along with other thousands of other tech professionals working in all different areas like product and software and gaming, and everyone kind of works together and supports each other. So a ton of our students have found work through our internal network, which doesn't surprise me at all. So, and Tracy's got a good network too. So even at the end, I'm sure she'll be able to share even more. She just put something in the chat. I'll let you share on that.
So I just shared in the chat Luma. Luma is one of the leading event platforms. I actually think it is better than Eventbrite when it comes to tech events, and they have this Discover page that has events based on cities. And that is actually where I've discovered a lot of the events that I look for and that I attend. And prior to even breaking into tech, prior to getting my software engineering certificate, all of that, I probably attended, and it was during COVID, so again, everything was virtual, but I probably attended 100 virtual events prior to me even getting my certificate, just to start figuring out what I wanted to do in tech, what areas I wanted to be in, what were the trends, who's the who's who do I need to become friends with, who do I need to network with, all of those things. And that was all virtual events. So I know that if you're in Miami, there's Miami Tech Happy Hour every single Wednesday in Wynwood. And I think in a lot of communities around the world, there's these same types of events. So just look out for them. Show up at a happy hour. Even if you're not in tech right now, show up anyhow. Because maybe you're going to learn about a career that fits you better or could do great things for you.
Absolutely. I mean, you could even just look online too and try and see if there's anything in your local area. There's so many resources to find, but there's probably something close to you there. So, all right. So, another question that kind of wraps into this, Tracy, how do you stay updated on the latest trends in advancements in product management and technology overall?
It's a good question. I get a lot of newsletters, and I would say I skim them. I don't read them. And I'm so honest about that. I get a lot of newsletters and I skim them. I see what they're saying, and then if it's something that I'm intrigued by, I go read more. I also mentor in a lot of startup programs, and that is where I see what people are trying to build. And then I'm like, oh, well, is that really a trend or is that not a trend? And then I go and look that up. I see what's trending on Twitter, on X, and on LinkedIn. What was the big news yesterday? We all know, GPT 4.0 just literally destroyed 50,000 startups that are trying to start up in the next few months, because it can basically do it all for you and you don't need any of those startups, right? And I've been saying this for months, that GPT has the hold on it, and we gotta, I also try to think 2 to 3 years ahead, right? What was the big things this year? So yes, AI was the thing that was in the hands of people this year, but what was the big announcement this year was mixed reality glasses. And I think people are missing that. People are forgetting that was the big announcement this year. So that means that in 2-3 years from now, that's going to be the trend. And that's going to be what's trending, right? So it was the same thing with when Web3 and crypto was at its highest, right? 2 years ago, 3 years ago. 2 years before, there was already signs that this was coming. So either you were in it at the beginning or you were in it too late, and then it, same goes with AI. The same goes. So I kind of look for those pulse points that are happening to see where the next step is. I personally think the next big craze is going to be AR, mixed reality, and using the glasses, and I think my glasses will eventually have, you know, some lens on them that I can just see this extra layer of the world on, and all of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good point. Like trying to pay attention to some of the key topics that look like they could be something that's, you know, a few years out, but it's, you know, just kind of paying attention to noticing those trends a little early on. So cool. Okay. A few more questions here. How can new product managers effectively communicate their vision and ideas to cross-functional teams?
Your guiding light is your PRD. It's your product requirements document. And getting really, really good at writing really succinct, clear product requirements documentation is extremely important. But also, think of every product as a storyline. So imagine you're building a movie, right? You have a storyboard for that movie. A product is the exact same thing. It has a storyboard that goes along with it. And so you have this system of, as a user, I want to do X, Y, and Z so that this can happen. How do I tell that story? How do I tell that? How do then, when I'm translating that story over to my developers, how do I make it really, really, by the way, developers need things really laid out for them, really clear. How do I make it really clear with a given, this button is clicked and it turns pink and it this, and being very clear on your directions. So I am not a writer. I don't like writing. ChatGPT has saved my life in that sense. But I am good at giving clear instructions. And so being very clear on your documentation is the key to your success as a product manager. And while we all hate writing, right? Everyone hates sitting and writing documents all day long. The fun part is actually talking to the people or seeing the product in actuality. The documentation is the guiding light. The tickets are the guiding light. And so being very, very clear in those moments is the key to your success as a product manager.
Amazing. Detail-oriented and organized and very clear. Okay, perfect. So how can a bootcamp provide aspiring product managers with practical skills needed to find a career or excel in their current roles if they're looking to do that?
So I think, going to a boot camp, I always say, is a survey of information. I went to a boot camp. I went to actually 2 boot camps and have done a lot of certificates. You can look on my LinkedIn and you'll be like, she has way too much time on her hands. She does not have any time on her hands. But the boot camp is a survey of information. So when you go to a boot camp, if you go in with the expectation that this is everything I need to know to be successful in my career, you probably won't succeed. If you go into the boot camp and say, this is the starting point that's going to teach me the basic skills that I need to start this career, and now I need to learn and grow from this, you will be super successful. A boot camp is only as good as the time and effort that you put into it. And I've seen this time and time again. Again, I run a community for tech boot camp grads, right? And I see the ones who put in the effort and put in the work get hired faster. The ones who kind of sit back and let others take the lead, you may not get, it takes a little longer. And also just like skill development is better if you're willing to put in the work. So it's a survey, but it's a survey that's going to help kickstart and push you towards that career.
Well, even at this point in your career, like you said earlier, product managers are always learning. So it's almost like managing expectations when you take something like a boot camp. If you're crossing it over with previous experience, you stand to find probably a few more opportunities than somebody who's coming in the gate with 0 experience going into a boot camp. But managing your expectations, like Tracy just said, like when you come out of it, after going through boot camp for a few months, are you going to be qualified for the top level position at a top company, that's hiring for 10 plus years experience? Of course not. You're going to have to build your resume up. You're going to have to get to that point. But it's the same with any industry. The boot camp is just almost a quicker way to get you the base level set of skills versus traditional schooling options that you would look at comparatively. So perfect answer, Tracy. Thank you. That was great.
You're not paying me to say
then
that, by the way, guys.
I didn't know. And then what additional advice would you give to somebody considering enrolling in a boot camp? I guess we kind of just covered that one as well. It overlaps from the previous one, but did you have any other notes to add to that one?
I would just say that, the investment is an investment in your future. So would you invest in something that you don't plan to use? Probably not. But would you invest in something that could make a significant change? If you put in the effort, then do it.
That's perfect. Yeah. And we just covered most of it in the previous question. So
Yeah.
that's perfect add on to it there too. And then this is the second last question. How can product managers continue to expand their skills after completing the education and stay competitive in the industry? So it kind of feeds right into what.
Yeah, I think I touched on this a little bit before, but one is to find startups that are looking for help and help them. The other, we run a 6-week accelerator program post boot camp at Make It MVP that gives you real world experience. It's 6 weeks to MVP. You work on a cross-functional team. You learn how to talk to developers. You learn how to talk to designers. So finding project experience, whether paid or unpaid, internships, apprenticeships, even just helping out a friend to help them scope out an idea that they have, and then writing case studies on it, sharing your build process on social media. All of those moments are going to help you in your career.
Absolutely. And just networking. You said that before
Yeah,
as well.
and
So
networking.
I'll always lean back on networking. I feel like it's one of the strongest things for everything. So, okay, amazing. So the last question I have for you, this one's super easy. Where can people find and connect with you?
LinkedIn is the best place to connect with me. I pretty much check my LinkedIn all the time. So I will put the link in the chat. So feel free to connect with me there.
Perfect. And so Tracy is going to sit to the side for just a second and let me share some quick information about the upcoming cohorts. And then in about a minute and a half here, we are going to go back into some Q&A with the audience there. So let me put this up here. There we go. So yeah, I'm just going to share some quick details about the upcoming cohorts, pricing information, all that kind of stuff, if that is okay with everyone. Get this queued up here. And yeah, I can see there's some questions in the questions tab there, guys. Those are the ones we're going to go through all together in just a few minutes. So if anybody has any additional questions for Tracy or for myself, or for Wanai from the Career Services team, whatever the case may be, just feel free to throw it into the questions tab. And we'll do our best to answer all those in just a minute. Now, in terms of the course pricing and the upcoming cohort dates, I'll start off with the pricing information. So this boot camp in general is $10,500 at the regular rate. We do currently have an early bird promotion on the go for this one. It's just until the end of this month, I think. Yeah, it's until May 31st. And it is 15% off of the course price. So it takes it from $10,500 down to $8,925. We do also have finance plans. So this is just if anyone's interested in the upcoming cohorts and they have questions about the financing, I'm going to share some contact details here as well. So actually, I'll share this first. So the upcoming cohort date starts on September 9th and runs through to February of 2025. We usually run a few cohorts every year, so there'll likely be one starting within a couple months after this date too, but the immediate one coming up will be September 9th. And then in terms of contact information, as I mentioned a minute ago, this is the general phone line that you can get a hold of us through the University of Toronto, the email for our courses there, And then there's just a QR code that I put on the screen there as well. So if anybody wants to scan that, it should take you right to the course page if you want to look at it. Or you can also request the syllabus, and the syllabus will just get sent right to your email, and you can kind of take a good look for the full breakdown of the course. So that is it. That's all the details I wanted to share. I'll invite Tracy right back up on stage now. I feel it's so funny. You just left, and I'm going to invite you right back up. And we will pull up the questions here. And I'll see what I have in queue, and we'll do our best to answer all of these for you guys. So
I see there's a lot of questions on like product manager, project manager, product owner. So I'm going to just answer that all in like one go, I think, just because I think that they're kind of all related. So I like to think of it like this. Your project manager is your timelines, your budget, your not necessarily technical details, but more of like project ownership. Your product manager deals with product strategy, deals with managing the technical needs and the expectations. And then product owners can be sometimes in some companies, and again, in every company, these three terms and then the term program manager are kind of all intertwined, and it just depends on the company, which company is going to call it what. But typically in a typical company, the hierarchy is like program manager, product. It's like program manager, project manager, product manager. That's kind of like product is the lowest, project is the next, and then program is the highest. It just depends. Or product owner is like above product manager. Product owner is only seen really in companies that use Scrum. This is kind of like a Scrum master type role, where their real job is to make sure that the company is using Agile and ticketing properly, and then like managing the backlog and things like that. They may not necessarily be as involved in the strategy and stakeholder management as much. So that's kind of my answer, but I think that answered a few questions that I saw in there.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, because we have a product course, we get asked about project all the time too, because they are very similar, not only in name and sounding, but some of the roles and responsibilities kind of overlap in a way. So it's very easily confused until you get somebody like Tracy that just, kind of clarified the differences there much better than I would have been able to. So thank you, Tracy. So I'm just going to put this up on the screen. We just answered this one as well. It's basically the same thing. So Salvador, just let us know if we answered the question okay in the last one, or if you have any additional follow-up to that, we can definitely do that. How does a person who actually has a tech background but spent the last 10 years in a different sector and is looking to return to product management role go about it?
Yeah, so I think the big thing you need to do is own the fact that you're technical. Because if you look at, and it's funny, I was just looking at a few product manager like job applications and roles recently, but half of them ask, oh, can I code in Python, or can I do this, or can I do that? So own that, but also own your experience depending on what you did. Again, this really depends, but like, let's say you were a developer, own your experience of working with backlogs, working on project scoping, working with designers, working in cross-functional teams. If you were in design, the same thing. Your user research is huge because product managers tend to do a lot of the user research as well. So it's really playing on your previous skills to be successful in your future skills.
Totally. Yeah, and I can add to that too. I mean, you're kind of like a perfect example of somebody. Like I don't know exactly what your skill set is, and I don't know where in tech you were working, Maureen, but this is a great example of, you can start a boot camp from the ground up, or you can start it with a little bit of previous experience. A boot camp might be a really good option for you because you already have some of the technical background and experience, but you've been removed from it for a little while. So it'd be a great way to kind of refresh yourself on the current tools that are being used in 2024. just a great way to kind of fast track you, but also utilize some of your previous skills. So hopefully that helped answer your question there. Now this other one came in into the chat while we were presenting, and I just copied it and pasted it over here for us because I just thought it was good for us to answer at the end here. But my background experience is with retail sales, telecom industry, with 10 plus as a sales manager. With my current position, can I upgrade myself into a product manager role?
100%. I will say that I find product management to be the one field in tech where it's very easy to take transferable skills from other things. So you're telling me that you have 10 years of selling telecom sales, which means you have 10 years of understanding a product and being able to sell it to customers. So now, can you sell that same product to me as a stakeholder? And if you can, then guess what? You'll be an amazing product manager. Because half of what we do as product managers is just selling our vision to whoever we're selling it to, whether it be our tech team to get stuff done or our stakeholders to be like, this is what's going to happen. Sales is like huge. Yes, now I work mostly as a CEO, but as a CEO, what's 95% of my job? Sales.
Yeah, of course.
Like selling. So yes, definitely ways to use it. I'll give another example of someone who I recently spoke to. So I recently spoke to a teacher. And the teacher said to me, I really want to get into product management. I'm not sure how, whatever. And she was an intervention specialist in a school for special needs children. So I said to her, okay, so tell me about your day. So she's like, I start by speaking to the teachers about the program plan. I'm like, oh, so you start by having a sprint planning meeting, correct? And I went through her day throughout the day and I said, okay, and then you do this, and then you do that, and then do you do user testing? And eventually you reevaluate and come back to it and iterate on the process for each student, right? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, anything in life can be considered a product. It's just how you view it.
And learning that process through product, I've heard from people anyways, helps them in other facets of their life as well, because you can apply the same organization and the same. But yeah, I mean, there's so many different skills that can come. Like this is a great example of showing like sales skills are amazing to bring into this role. Tech skills are amazing to bring into this role. Communication skills are amazing to bring into this role, So there's just so many different industries that would feed into product management, like Tracy said. So hopefully we answered your question there, VJ. I'm assuming this is for you, Tracy. How did you know you wanted to be a product manager?
So again, I started out I didn't even talk about this part. I actually started a UX boot camp to start. Prior to even COVID, prior to anything, I did a UX boot camp one summer and I started it and I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm back in social work school. It's all user research. I don't want to do this. And I was still in like the time frame where I could like drop out of the boot camp. So I did. And the reason I did was because I felt like that specific boot camp was only going to teach me how to do user research. And I was like, I'm a social worker by trade. That's literally what I've done for the last 10 years of my life. Like, I don't need to be taught how to do this. So what do I want to learn that I don't know? And that was software engineering. That was coding. And so I went to coding school, and the whole time I was there, I was like, yeah, like I can code and I'm okay at it. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty decent. But I really want to be part of the vision. And I really want to be part of the dream of the product. And I don't necessarily just want to be, I'm going to say this in a mean way. I wanted to be the puppet master, not the puppet. And that's how I realized like product was where I wanted to be, because product is kind of the puppet master in the idea of product. Everyone else is kind of just like a puppet in that process and doesn't as necessarily get to be part of the full vision. And the other example I'll give is that in my most previous job, so at Think of Us, the first 2.5 months that I was there, I literally just spent 2 months interviewing every single person in the company, trying to figure out what this product that they wanted to get built was. And everyone had a different vision, and I had to then take that vision and mold it together. And then I was like, oh, this is why I love product. Because I get to take all these different people's opinions and brains and say, no, but this is actually what you're looking for.
It's really cool. It's like finding a solution for everybody in the form of a product, which is really cool.
I also like to think of it as like in life, right? Like people are going to come to you with problems, and you could either come to them with other problems that go along with it, which is one way to look at it, or you can come to them with solutions, or you can come to them in a collaborative way. So I just heard someone speak, Brian Rose from Niantic, from Ingress, the Ingress team, and the way he spoke and the way he answered every single question to me stood out like beyond, because every question he asked was, well, how might we help our game players to enhance this vision? Or how might we? And I was like, it's such a nice way to think about the world. Like, how can I do this to help this situation? And since I'm like a helper by nature because of social work background and whatever, I was like, oh, well, there it is in tech, product management.
Natural fit. Yeah, absolutely. That's all it takes sometimes, right? Is getting a little experience to realize what you like and what you don't like. And that can go both ways. I mean, even the boot camp, you tried something different. We're like, nope, this isn't the one. And then ended up in product management. So
Exactly.
So how can a product manager process down this career path? Does one have to aspire to be CEO to be successful?
I don't think so. I don't think you have to aspire to be the CEO. I do, though, and I have seen this, and I'm going to be honest about this. You have to have an entrepreneurial mindset. I saw in 3 Google product role posts this past week. All 3 of them said 2 to 3 years of startup experience or startup founder experience. And I thought that was interesting. And then I thought about it for a second, and I was like, I get it. Because you may not want to be the CEO and deal with all the financial stuff and all of this and all of that, and that's not where you want to be. So director of product one day, that's like a great role. VP of product, also a great role, right? But you have to be willing to A, think out of the box, B, think strategically, and C, think fast. And the biggest thing, and this is something Phil Kesslin from Niantic told my team every single day and reminded us of this, is you gotta fail fast and fail forward. And you have to be able to accept failure and move on from failure fast and iterate super fast after that.
And that makes sense why startup experience would lean into that so perfectly. So
Exactly. I mean, listen, I'm a startup founder. I ran my startup for a year, had a lot of successes and a lot of failures in that year, decided to drop that startup and then started again when I moved more recently in October. And every day I have 1 failure and 3 successes, or 5 failures and 1 success. And that's just the way the day works. And it's how do you move on from there?
It's good. It's okay. It's part of it.
It's okay. It's life.
Yeah, totally. All right. So next one here is quick question. My background experience is with did we already answer? Oh, he just put it back in again. Okay.
Yeah.
So we answered this one for you already, VJ. I was like, this one's sounding very familiar as I'm going through it. I'll do the next one. Can the tuition fee be covered by OSAP? I don't think it's covered by OSAP, but there might be, I believe there's some other funding options that are available for the bootcamp courses through the university. The best thing I'd say, Ruby, is just connect with our admissions team. They should be able to provide you with any sort of information in that sense. But I don't think specifically, I'm not sure that OSAP would qualify because I don't think the courses are a high enough price point for that. But yeah, connect with the admissions team, just using the contact details that I provided earlier in the presentation there. I think you could also just do admissions at circuitstream.com and it should take you to the right place there as well. So, all right. what part of the day are the live courses held? Okay, this one's for me. Is there flexibility to continue working while taking the boot camp? Yeah, absolutely. So we have different time slots for our different boot camps. I don't want to speak out of turn here and say that we definitely have, 3 different time slots for this one. We have quite a few different courses. So the best thing here would be to connect with the admissions team, and they can tell you exactly what the time slot options would be for this course. But there's absolutely flexibility. Most of our students that are taking the boot camps don't quit their jobs. They don't give up what their current life situation is, and it would be almost impossible to do that. The only thing I usually give advice-wise to people is maybe don't do 2 or 3 boot camps at the same time along with a full-time job, because then it would be incredibly intense. But if you have a full-time job and you're looking to do a boot camp simultaneously, as long as you're only kind of doing one in conjunction with the job, you should be fine, completely fine. It's paced really well, and you can do a lot of the work over the weekends. All the classes are recorded, so you can go back and rewatch things afterwards. So it's a great setup for that. And then, all right, so did we answer this one too? No, this is another one just very similar. So this one I'll kind of direct back to. But yeah, I've been in technology for the last 15 years, mostly worked on SAP and Salesforce. So again, another person with lots of sales experience. Would it be right to move?
Same answer. I think you can for sure transition into product. I think something that you're going to have that is going to be super beneficial for you is your CRM experience with Salesforce. And there are a lot of companies that need product managers to manage their Salesforce systems. So because you have that background, you're going to be a lot more successful and hireable because you have that skill. That's just my added.
Totally. And so the next one here, we've got 2 more questions. This one, I'm just going to share my screen really quickly again for you guys. And I'm going to make it big. Tracy and I are going to be little for just a sec. So this is, you asked about the pricing info. This is the regular price of the course here. And then this is the current early bird promotion that we have on at the moment as well till the end of this month. And then in terms of, there was another question there previously, and I said just reach out and ask questions. So if anybody is looking to connect with our team, this is the contact information. I did share it earlier in the presentation, but I just wanted to bring it up really quickly here for you guys too, so that you could jot it down. And then if you had missed any of the other part of the presentation as well, this whole thing is recorded and you will get a copy of it. So if I close the screen too quick and you didn't get the email or get the, whatever the case may be, you'll get a full recording of this once we end the event here today. So I'm going to shut the screen down now and bring us back on stage. So hopefully you got the contact details that you needed there. There we go. All right. And I'm just going to do that. We answered that one. All right. And then it looks like this is the last question here. A large part of the product manager role is managing stakeholders. How do you deal with the success of being of your role being dependent on other people's completion of their tasks? That's a great question.
That is an amazing question. It's probably the hardest part of your job. And I will tell you that one of the PMs at Make an MVP, we also have a web development studio, and one of our PMs this past week really had a moment where she struggled with this, where she heard the devs say, "Oh, it's complete, it's done." And so she's like, "Oh, it's done." And then I came in as the stakeholder and was like, "It doesn't work." So, and she looked at me and she's like, but it was done. And I was like, "But did you test it?" And then she had to go through that frustration point of like, I'm a PM and my success is on the success of the team. Again, there's no I in team. So you have to remember that you're only as strong as your weakest link. So part of your job is to empower the others that you work with. And so if you see something that I recently just implemented was, we have a lot in the studio, we have a lot of like freelance projects going on. And I started to institute and I don't really have time for this, but I was like, I need to do this anyhow. 15-minute check-ins with every single contractor we have in the studio. And I do it every other week. And I just check in and I say, "How are you feeling? What's going on? What's your goal? Where do you see yourself? How can I help? Right? You have to build those relationships. You have to build that rapport, but you also have to have a lot of trust. And I'm an active person. I'm a doer. And a lot of times I tend to be like, well, they didn't get it done, I'm just going to do it myself. And because I am technical, I can do that sometimes. But that is not the best skill to have, honestly. That's actually probably my biggest flaw. And I think recently I've been starting to take this point of, this isn't my area to manage. So I'm not the owner. Let the owner do their job. And while it may reflect badly on me sometimes, and it may be frustrating because I could just get it done, it's part of the delegation of the tasks, and it's part of being in the position that you're in. And so sometimes you just have to say, I'm going to ride this wave and I'm just going to let it go for right now. And if you see things spiraling, obviously take control, right? Take control of the ship. But sometimes you just have to be like, that's not my responsibility, and I'm just not going to manage it right now. I'm not going to deal with it right now. It's not my job. And you have to check off from that because it's not always your job.
100%. And I think it's just like a lot of it comes down to the team you have too, like Tracy was saying, you have to be able to have trust. You have to be able to, let the owner kind of take it. But it's hard to establish those things if you don't have kind of a strong team of like-minded people kind of working together. So just to add to that, I would just say like having the right team of people kind of working in your company or working on in your department is going to make a world of difference there too. So.
I also think that something is, before every project you kick off or before every time you take over a team, do something fun with your team. Do something engaging with your team that is not that's not work. We're sitting down and getting stuff done right now. Take a moment. We're doing right now in the studio, we're doing a really big app build for a product. And the founder came into the meeting and he's like, pause, before we start anything, I want to check in with everyone. And I thought that was so special that he came into the room and was like, I want everyone to check in. And then everyone started to like list how they're doing like professionally. And he's like, no. How are you doing personally? And that I think makes, the rapport better and the experience better.
100%. I mean, I even experienced that in the company that I'm in right now. I'm lucky enough to work for some founders who are very much in that mindset. Like we're, very business focused and we're always busy. We do a lot of things, but that's one of my favorite approaches to coming into a meeting. Get into it and you can jump into the nitty gritty of what everyone's doing and how everyone's swamped and how you've got 80 meetings this week. You've got 10,000 projects on the go, but just pausing for a moment and getting a little bit of an understanding of who you're with makes a big difference in how they're doing. So, all right. So we had one more question pop up here. Communication with stakeholder is key. How do I improve those skills coming from business to consumer industry, dealing with walk-in traffic? How do I improve some skills to deal with those key stakeholder members?
Stakeholder management is always a fun challenge. So there's a way I like to think of it. Every conversation that I deal with a stakeholder, I start with a compliment of some sort or something positive. Then I give the bad news, and then I end with a positive or a solution. And I kind of call it like the positivity sandwich.
I was just going to say it's like a sandwich, sorry.
Yeah, I call it the positivity sandwich because you're going to have to give bad news and you're going to have to, communicate those things. I also think something that has been beneficial to me when I have to go into those tough conversations is to write it down beforehand, just write out my thoughts. And not necessarily am I writing a script because I probably am not even going to look at that script. But write it out, get all my frustration out on that paper, and then come into the meeting with a clearer mind and then communicate what I need to communicate. Another thing in this industry a lot of times is You're going to be talking to non-technical people about technical things. So learn to tell the story like you're talking to your 5-year-old or to your grandma. And I say that not as a joke. Can you explain what your product does to a 5-year-old, and can you explain what your product does to your grandma? Because that will definitely help you in the future.
100%. Absolutely. Being able to communicate that in non-technical terms is key. So I think that was it for the questions, Trace. I'm just going to go back to the chat here. Amazing. Thank you, Tracy. Very helpful. Extremely insightful session. Amazing. Awesome. Well, I'm happy that you guys are all getting great insight and information from the session here today. If anybody has any questions afterwards, feel free to reach out to the team. I shared the contact information there previously, but huge thank you to you, Tracy, for taking the time to join the session here today. If anything, I've kind of learned that you and I are quite similar in a lot of ways. Hearing you kind of talk about how you approach things. I also consider myself an extroverted introvert. I go to events, I run sessions like this. I network with people, but at the end of the day, and especially if I've gone through a busy week of conferences or sessions, I can't help but go home and just completely disconnect and don't want to see anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody for a little while. And so I completely understand that. But thank you so much, Tracy.
My couch is right next to me, and that's where I'm heading next.
I would be. This is a digital background, or else I'd be sitting on that chair afterwards. But yeah, thank you so much. I'd love to have you back again in the future, Tracy, for some future sessions. Yeah, if anybody wants to connect with Tracy, you can find her on LinkedIn, but feel free to also check out Make It MVP. Some great opportunities there for product managers. There's, I believe you do job postings there as well. You do lots of stuff. So just another great networking opportunity, leaning into what we said earlier, network with people, get involved. This is another great way to do it after you've gone through a boot camp or if you're already in the industry sort of thing. So thank you, Tracy. Thank you, everyone. Of course. We're going to have you back again, and I'll end it there. So everyone have a fantastic Tuesday, and look for our next events. And we will look forward to seeing you there. Thank you again, Tracy. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a fantastic day. Bye, BJ. Bye. Thank you. Jennifer, thank you. Okay. Bye, guys.